I'm Johan Roshivega, and I am honored to welcome Michele Rosewoman, who is just pure energy and talent when it comes to music, but also into representation of culture through music, particularly with a focus with jazz in as a core. But from here, it takes all different types of paths and ways and different ways to express. So we have the opportunity of engaging in this conversation prior to a visit that Michele is going to have soon in our region here in Western Massachusetts in New England. Michele, welcome. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me ahead of time, and we were so happy to be coming up that way.
So tell us a little bit about what it has been your career. You've been so prolific with multiple recordings and multiple interactions as a musician and a performer with basically everybody in the different scenes in the jazz scene overall, with legends, emerging artists, and creating yourself a legacy of jazz music with two different ensembles. So tell us a little bit about all of this work and this journey.
Thank you for being so well informed. That does kind of, you gave me words I could use in my own bio. Uh, uh, yeah, it's been a wonderful journey. It is a wonderful journey and a blessed life to live. I don't know. For me, there's kind of no beginnings and no endings. But I would say that given my propensity to compose from a fairly young age, I have always sought out musicians that were like-minded in some way because I think I probably had my own ideas and language from an early age. So I always gravitated toward the most really adventurous voices in terms of my own, creating my own music and finding those who could bring their voice to it, where we would meet in that context. And so that started early on, and that's what formed Quintessence. But Yor-Uba was formed first, and that comes from my own depth of involvement in both the jazz world and started with a class in Afro-Cuban percussion that I took when I was 18, 19 years old. And that was really the beginnings of my outcome of my direction, where I wasn't really aware that they would come together, the two worlds, like they did. But I started to dream the music, actually literally hearing some of the sacred cantos in a contemporary jazz setting. So I started to, I'm trying to keep it short. You know, I'm from Oakland, California, and that's where this began. But I came here in 78 to New York, and in 80, Orlando Puntea Rios came. And so in my early years, the worlds were very parallel in terms of jazz and Cuban folklore. They really, I didn't see anywhere they were coming together except in my heart and in my dreams. So with Puntia, I had this foundation to sort of really begin to develop my ideas around. And that's ultimately what gave birth to New Yor-Uba, the 1983 debut. And as you all know, this is our 40-year anniversary. It's amazing how long. Of course, it's not the same personnel. And Puntia Ibai Tonu passed away after 25 years of being with New Yor-Uba. So the birth of the group featured him, and he went on to be featured for the next 25 years. So his repertoire, he brought Arara material from the, that's the dialect from Dahomey. And in Cuba, Yor-Uba and Arara and many other traditions are just upheld and sustained and valued so greatly that we have people like Román Díaz, masters of the folklore tradition, that carry them on in their purity with a deep knowledge of the roots and the source. So anyway, Puntilla brought me stuff here that we didn't have. You know, there was always a lot of us into studying. You know, we were listening to the Matancero, to Papines, to Afro Cuba de Matanza, to Conjunto Folklórico Nacional, you know, absorbing and learning and whatnot. And Puntilla came with music that we hadn't heard. So a lot of that just kind of, some things grab me and kind of almost haunt me until I do something with them. So a lot of repertoire that I built for the Your-Uba originally came from some of Puntilla's favorite stuff to do. And I often performed with him vocally with his Nueva Generación group. Meanwhile, I'm writing, you know, for very contemporary music, and Quintessence was born in '87. And with players like Greg Osby and Steve Coleman, Gary Thomas, Steve Wilson, Terry Lynn Carrington. What's exciting is Greg and I we haven't worked together for a while, and I'm very excited that he's coming up with us, to have him back in the mix, you know, such a great contemporary voice, important voice. So, yeah, so, in the music I was writing all along, they're so interchangeable because, being steeped in these traditions, these folkloric traditions, when I write, it's just there. So I often find later that something that I wrote falls perfectly with the abacua, or falls perfectly with guiro or rumba or particular bata rhythms and sequences. So I was able to bring folkloric elements into my original material. And so these are the two groups that I've sustained the longest. Actually, it's been quite some time since I presented Quintessence, and I'm working my way towards that, back to that. The other part of this would be that I've always been an educator from a young age, and encountered such great, inspiring young musicians along the way that always became a part, some of who became a part later of my own presentation. So that kind of addresses the spectrum of things that you brought up. Some young, really inspiring up and coming players that have now become some of the most important voices out here, including Emmanuel Wilkins and Tyshawn Sorey. They were students of mine at early age. You know, I was one of their teachers, and so proud to be in the mix as to the way they, now they're my teachers, you know.
And that's the beauty of sharing and creating together in a multicultural and multi-generational gathering of talents, because you learn and then you have the opportunity to pass on that knowledge to a next generation so that tradition can continue and becomes this legacy. And it's living proof that New Your-Uba is celebrating 40 years. And it's really important and really meaningful, especially when it comes about bringing awareness and representation through music of different talents and different people that come from different backgrounds, to make this amazing musical tradition of coming together, creating something together, and enjoying this magic that happens when music happens.
Music is magic. It truly is. And what really, I was playing piano and deep into jazz before being riveted by these folklore traditions. I did come up hearing a lot of world music. They didn't have a title for it back then. It was just beautiful music from around the world with kind of spiritual motivations and implications, you know. So I always felt moved on another level in listening to that. I also came up with a lot of traditional jazz and R&B all around me, and funk, being from the Bay Area in the 60s and all of that. But when I got into these folkloric traditions from the seat of playing the drums and the first playing congas, percussion, and the first things that we learned my teacher was Marcus Gordon, who came up in New York. He was Gene Golden's peer. Gene Golden is a he's a history book, all that he's done, and he's still here. He's with us, and people need to know about him. But they brought the bata out into public. They brought it to the Village Vanguard and things. So I had the blessing of meeting Marcus and taking this class. And the first things we learned were like 6/8 bembe kind of rhythms with songs, cantos for the orishas. So I would sit in my home and in my room and play and sing and feel the transformation of the air. I felt the air change, I felt the energy change and the power of it and the magic in it. So with New Yor-Uba, I feel like there is this foundation of magic and being touched from beyond, so that, when people express how much they love it or how deeply touched they are, I have to say that, this is all built on a foundation that, the bata drummer speaking the Yoruba language and addressing God and spirit at all times. So if you're feeling something along those lines, it kind of makes sense, that you would. And then to do it with utmost respect means having a lot of knowledge, which I wouldn't do this without. And so I've been blessed in that those that knew me and know me, including Puntilla, especially Puntilla, he saw what I was trying to do and invited me to bata classes and things, although women in his world never touched bata, didn't touch the drum. But he wanted me to have the knowledge that I needed. My goal was to make him comfortable in the group. And that's also been deeply my goal ever since, because following him came Román. So with Román, there's a deep knowing that I want to have, let's say, in order to do things the way that I feel good about, which means that I have a full understanding of these traditions that he's a master of, so that when I bring these worlds together, although a lot of the musicians, some of the jazz musicians are often, where's the one? I mean, it's, definitely lost on the time because bata are purposely mysterious. So I have to be the liaison, and if I don't know what's up, we're all in trouble, So yeah, with the greatest of respect, I bring the worlds together in a way that I can feel proud of, because I know that it's correct. To put it simply and not really accurately, but as an analogy, we're on the right side of cloudy, You don't want to be like in a whole other place and drummers are feeling it one way and you're thinking another. And with the contemporary jazz tradition that can go anywhere and can go deeply into a free kind of atmospheric zone. The beautiful part is Román loves to play up in that too. So, we just meet on a lot of levels. He's busy doing many things that help him develop his language for stuff that comes in real handy with my ensemble. It's just a lot of exchange and interplay and forward motion.
And it's such a great thing that during this celebration of the 40th anniversary of New Yor-Uba, you have Román Díaz, but also Greg Osby in the saxophone. So you have such a force of powerful performance and knowledge and inspiration, along with your own, in this beautiful tour that you're having. And we will have the opportunity of enjoy of your music on October 24th. So what can you tell us about this upcoming event?
So we'll be playing, a spectrum of music from our repertoire that includes these traditions, various traditions that we've been able to manifest within the group. I have 2 recordings and for New Yor-Uba recordings, and the first one is 30-year anniversary debut recording. So, which means that we were together 30 years before we ever recorded. And it's a double disc. And then our second recording is, and that one's called Yor-Uba 30 Years. The second one is called Hallowed and was released in 2019. And on Hallowed is, the first 10 tracks are actually the Oru Igbo, the Oru Seco, which I put music to from beginning to end. So Oru Seco is a ceremonial sacred sequence of ceremonial rhythms that are played without song, seco, dry. And that's the only way they've ever been presented, pretty much. I mean, as far as a complete Oru Seco, from what people say, they've never heard anyone, I wouldn't say orchestrate, I guess it's orchestrating it, but since it's all based on just the rhythms, every aspect of it is compositional, with the songs in mind that would go with the rhythms if it wasn't Oru Seco, if it was Oru Cantado or, with song. So, Román had sent me a recording of one of his, Oru Seco ceremonies, and I built this on that. I built the whole thing on that. So the first 10 tracks, because there's no Oru Igbo that's played for less than 40, 50 minutes, so we had to fit solos in and whatnot. So we divided it. I divided it. I keep saying we because Yor-Uba is like family to me, but I did the work. I'm not going to lie, and divided into 10 tracks. So in terms of what we're going to be doing, we'll be doing some of the music from that. We'll be doing some of the music from the first Yor-Uba recording. We'll be presenting deep Bata traditions, Guiro, Rumba, Abakwa, various traditions. Now, the thing is that I recorded, for example, there's a song called Contrast High on my quintet recording called Contrast High. There's also a song called Commit to It. So there's other material that came from Quintessence, but those two in the last couple of years I brought into Yor-Uba and found that a Contrast High is a beautiful context to present Guiro, the Guiro tradition. So we'll be doing that. Commit to It. It pops. It's kind of, and the way we recorded it, it's in a funk kind of style with, James Brown kind of popping horn lines. But in this context, we do it with rumba, and it works really, really well. So I love discovering these links that are so, I don't have to force anything to make it work because it just kind of lives there. So it'll be a spectrum of all of these idioms and traditions, and we'll feature all the musicians in one way or the other. The music is contemporary. There's some music that's built completely around the just a sequence of cantos for Agayu, or one for Babalulaye that we call Earth Secrets, and that's very gospel-like. I try to see where something lives naturally, and it just reveals itself to me in my writing process. So we end up kind of with quite a range of styles, and the presentation is pretty varied. So it should keep everybody's interest, I'm pretty sure, with these dynamic percussionists and folklorists, as well as great, great soloists.
This is such a beautiful way to celebrate not only the 40 years of Yor-Uba, but also celebrate your journey as a composer, as a pianist, as an educator. But also I want to include your incursions into poetry. Oh, wow. Which is another aspect of the talents that you have been creating during the years. And I think it's another way of bringing this same level of holiness and having some intimate and even sacred ways to express thoughts, emotions, feelings, and sharing it with the world. So wow. How the poetry has been continuing being part of your work.
Wow, you just made me, I couldn't believe the emotion just took over me. I guess because it's in my latest website. Wow, strong feeling that I included my poetry. but I really have not projected it, shared it in early stages in my presentations. I poetry would be a part of what we did. Many times I'd use parts of my poems within the context of the music, but I've just always written poetry. My mother was a beautiful artist, visual artist. The cover of Hallowed is her work. The colored of contrast, the cover of Contrast High is her work. I display it at Facebook as much as I can. If anybody wants to check it out, go to my page. I have a lot of her work in an album there, in a photo album. And she wrote poetry as well. And I just came up around the arts, and I've been writing poetry. I saw entries from forever ago in old ripped up books and things. So I don't write a lot, but I write. I keep contributing to the body of work, and it's really my hope to publish some of it. At some point to publish a book of my poetry. So no one has really ever brought that up in an interview with me before. I'm like, oh, wow, he knows about that. So, little by little, maybe that's going to head me towards more sharing of it. And I really do love what can be done with words in the same kind of magical, mysterious way that you can create with music. You can definitely touch people and express deep feelings and thoughts that way as well. And
Yes.
Román is a poet. Román is an incredible poet. It's very much a part of who he is as an artist. There is I curated a presentation during COVID where I brought Román on to do whatever he wanted, and he used this app called Acapella to overdub himself. And within that is some of his beautiful poetry. And people can find that probably at my YouTube page. I think I must have put it up there. If not, I will. But they can look up Román Díaz Act 4, and see some of that. Román always includes his poetry in his own presentation. So, yeah, poetry is a beautiful form of art. Thank you for bringing it up.
So, what will be your invitation for our audience and our communities here in the Valley in Western Massachusetts to come on the 24th and enjoy of the celebration of New Yor-Uba, where you, Michele, along with your group, and of course the presence of Román, will be part of this beautiful experience?
Well, it's hard to get 11-piece group on tour, and we're going to be there. And you're going to feel something, and you're going to hear something that you probably, well, no doubt have never heard live, because if you haven't heard this group, you haven't heard what we do live. And it's not like anything else. So I say that with just the greatest humility. Come share this energy and time with us. Actually, we were, thank you, Glenn Siegel, for all that you do. And we go way back. He had me there with my quintet. He had me there with New Yor-Uba. And it was actually the last performance that Orlando Puntia Rios Ibae did with us was there. He did a few more things after that. But, so we were there once. We were in Amherst. But that was, wow, forever ago. And we're making it back, and it's taken a lot to make this all work. So we hope that you'll come out, and we really hope to see you there and share an evening.
And also for people who would like to find out more about your music, your career, all the different projects and creations that you have been doing with by yourself, but also with Quintessence and Yor-Uba, where can people find more about your work?
My website, MicheleRosewoman.com, and that's Michele with one L. Bandcamp, Rosewoman. I have all my recordings. I own them all except for one ultimately. So actually, I just realized I ran out of a hard copy of the last quintet record, which was called The Inside Out. So I better take it off that website. until I get some more press. But you can buy it digitally. Everything's available digitally. So you can hear the music there. You can purchase it there. At my website, you can just generally take in a lot of stuff. There's like a photographic history there. A lot of photos. A page for my poetry. That's where you discovered this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. uh, and YouTube. If you go to my channel there, I think you can just put my name and go, but you can also put Yeo53, Yeo53. That's my YouTube station. And there's a lot of you had brought up earlier about my working with some legends, and so there are some footage. There is footage there of me with Jimmy Heath, with Julian Priester, I think with Rufus Reed. I have had the great honor playing with some jazz masters, although mostly out here as a leader. But I've been a part of any number of beautiful projects and concerts with other great musicians. There's a duo with my mentor. I have to always mention Ed Kelly, great pianist from Oakland, California, Ibai, that passed long ago. And there's a duo. I think we're playing "You Send Me," you know. So we're hitting that popular music R&B vein too. Ed Kelly was a master of taking vocal songs and interpreting them at the piano, which is not like on a horn. It's very different. You got to have a thing. Got to have a thing for that. But I have to always mention Ed. So there's stuff of Ed there solo, and me and Ed together. So I guess that kind of covers it between YouTube. I do post a lot to Facebook. Everything. It's an easy format for me. Instagram on occasion. That's it. My website and Bandcamp will probably cover the gamut.
Well, Michele, thank you so much for this time and this conversation with you, and we look forward to see you in person here in the Valley this coming October 24th, where we can enjoy and celebrate with you 40 years of New Yor-Uba.
Thank you so very much. I'm gonna, since I'm looking down at your picture in Zoom, I'm gonna look at the camera for a minute and say to the people, thank you so much. Please support Ilian and all that he does, because you can see the depth of knowledge and commitment. And I think that's what makes greatness, is just you're doing something because you can't help but do it. You got to do it. I could tell that that's how he is. Thank you all. Thank you, Ilian. And I hope to see you folks there, some of you at least.